Now let's learn about the circumstances that led to the colonization of India. Children, just imagine that you want to visit a new country or any new place. How do you travel? Obviously, you will use any kind of transport. It might be a roadway or waterway or airway, right? In the same way, during 15th and 16th century, the foreign invaders or the travelers who wanted to visit a country, India, they started discovering new places and sea routes. An Italian traveler named Marco Polo visited Asia, and that had caught the attention of the Europeans. Europeans got attracted by the wealth and prosperity of Asia. So what they did, they have undertaken voyages in search of spices and other products of Asia. But how they will reach from Europe to Asia? So they used two routes. One is the Red Sea and the other one is the Persian Gulf. And these routes were dominated by the Arab. So the Europeans had to travel to Asia through the land route. But the land route was very expensive. And in the year of 1453, the Turks captured Constantinople, that is the present-day Istanbul in Turkey. Thus, the land route was also shut to the Europeans. So now what happened? They did not find any way to reach India. So, they have to think or to look for a substitute sea route to reach India or other Asian countries. So they started undertaking various long sea voyages for this purpose, and also they used science and technology. They used some devices on their long journeys such as the mariner's compass and astrolabe, which helped them a lot. In the year of 1498, a Portuguese sailor named Vasco da Gama reached India by sailing around the Cape of Good Hope, which is situated at the southern tip of Africa. During the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution started in England, and it also spread to other parts of Europe. Hence, these countries started looking for new markets to sell their finished product as well as to produce raw materials for their factories. Consequently, this led to the colonization of many Asian countries. What is colonization? This is the process in which one country acquires control over another, leading to various kinds of political, economic, social and cultural changes in the latter. The natural resources of these colonies came under the dominion of these imperialist countries. Imperialist country means a country which controls other countries and has its influence over them through business, culture, etc. Now let's learn about the sources to study the modern history of India. We have already learnt about literary sources and archaeological sources. But apart from this, there are another two sources. They are the primary sources and the secondary sources. Then what are primary sources? For example, any event that occurred in the past and there is an individual who have witnessed that event is called a direct proof, and this direct proof is called as a primary sources. Primary sources include autobiographies, memoir. Memoir means a historical account or biography written from personal knowledge, and oral histories recorded later. What is oral history? These are the recording, presentation and interpretation of historical information based on the personal experiences and opinions of the speaker. And the second one is the secondary sources. These are those sources that are created on the basis of the primary sources. Hence, primary sources are the original sources, while the secondary sources are derived sources. Let me give you an example. A soldier who has fought a war and he writes a diary, and in his diary he describes everything about the war, and that diary is called a primary source. Later on, That particular diary passes from people to people, hand to hand, after the soldier. After few years, a historian writes a book about that particular war on the basis of the diary, that too soldier's diary. Then that book is regarded as the secondary source. Here the soldier witnessed the war directly and written the diary. So it is a primary source. But the historian did not witness the war directly. But he has written a book on the basis or on the reference of the diary. So this is the secondary source. There are sufficient sources available such as official records, autobiographies, newspapers, photographs, etc. to reconstruct the history of the modern period of India. Let's discuss about the official records and autobiographies in today's session. I will explain you about the other sources such as newspaper, photographs, etc. in our next session. Official records. These official records include laws, ordinances, enactments, decrees, writs, charters, proclamations, and manifestos. Reports of officials and commissions, treasury and financial records, account books, tax, and census list also fall under the category of official records. So here the British officials, they kept the records carefully and also conserved them. So what they did, they established some institutions such as archives and museums to conserve the records. For example, large number of these records can be found in the National Archives of India at New Delhi and the India Office Records in London. The next source is autobiographies, biographies, diary and travelogues. Apart from the official records of the diaries of the people, travelogues, autobiographies and biographies gives much information about the modern Indian history. For example, the autobiography Toward Freedom by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Why I Am an Atheist, written by Bhagat Singh, The Story of My Experiments with Truth, written by Mahatma Gandhi, provide us with the conditions of India during that time. And also the travelogues by Western travelers such as the French traveler Jean-Baptiste Tavernier and the Scottish traveler James Baillie Fraser also give an insight into the conditions of the bygone era. However, precautions must be taken while referring to such sources as they are largely based on personal experiences and can be prejudiced. So children, this is the end of our session. Let's meet again in our next session.